Okay, what if I told you that the key to a better life wasn't some new, complicated philosophy, but was actually hidden in the words of an ancient one, just waiting for the right kind of translation? Well, today we're going to decode a 2,500-year-old text to find a guide to a happier life that is surprisingly modern and, get this, incredibly visual.
So our story starts with a feeling that I think every single one of us has had, that deep desire for a simple, straight answer to life's big questions. We meet this seeker, a guy named Vacchagotta, who goes to find the Buddha. And he's not there for some long philosophical lecture. Nope, he wants the ultimate cheat sheet for living a good life.
And this is his question. It's so beautifully simple. No fancy jargon, no abstract ideas. He just asks, teach me, in brief, what is skillful and unskillful. I mean, what he's really asking is, what actually works in life and what just ends up causing more problems? It's a question we're all still asking, right?
Now, the Buddha's first answer is, well, it's what you might call the standard textbook response. He points to 3 core mental states that he says are the roots of all our problems. And you've probably heard of these in one form or another.
So first up, he identifies lobha. The standard English translation for this one is pretty straightforward. Greed.
The second root of all our troubles? That would be dosa. We usually translate this as hatred, or maybe aversion.
And the third one is moha, which we generally understand as delusion or ignorance. Okay, so greed, hatred, delusion. Seems simple enough, right? But here's where things get really interesting. What if these simple one-word translations are actually hiding a much deeper and honestly a much more useful meaning?
This is the part where we get to go beyond the dictionary. See, instead of just relying on centuries of translation, we can actually look at the original language, Pali. And by exploring the roots of these words, we can start to understand them not as these abstract concepts, but as the Buddha's very first listeners did. We can actually feel their original energy.
It's almost like a kind of linguistic archaeology. We can transform these words from these vague ideas floating around in our heads into something tangible, something you can almost see and feel. So let's see what happens when we do just that.
Okay, let's retranslate these same 3 words. But this time, we're not just going to think about them, we are going to see them. Think of it like we're upgrading our understanding from standard def to high definition, a truly visual translation. And believe me, this small shift, it changes everything.
Let's start with lobha, the word we call greed. But here's the thing. Its linguistic root has nothing to do with just wanting more stuff. It actually describes the physical quality of something being sticky, like glue.
And all of a sudden, the feeling makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It's that mental state of being stuck to an idea or a person or a goal and just being completely unable to let go. So greed isn't some abstract concept. It's a texture. It's the feeling of having spiritual glue all over your hands.
All right, next up is dosa or hatred. Now, the standard translation makes it about something external, right? Something out there that we dislike. But the root of the word, it tells a totally different story. It describes the process of something spoiling, decaying, or corrupting from the inside out.
And yeah, that's exactly what it feels like, isn't it? That feeling of anger or resentment isn't just an emotion pointed at someone else. It's like this corrosive force that literally spoils our own peace of mind. It's a kind of internal decay.
And finally, we have moha, which we translate as delusion. This makes it sound like you just don't know something, like you're missing a fact. But the root of the word suggests something much more experiential. It's the feeling of being completely lost, bewildered, and disoriented. It's that mental experience of being in a thick fog, totally unable to see the path forward. Stickiness, spoiling, and bewilderment. See how that shift in translation transforms these teachings? It goes from being an abstract moral list to a really practical, relatable guide to our own inner weather. Now, Vacchagotta is blown away. This new visual understanding is so clear, so intuitive. But he's a practical guy, so he asks the million-dollar question. Okay, this is a great theory, but does it actually work? Has anyone ever actually reached the finish line using this map? The Buddha's answer is absolutely stunning. He doesn't just say yes. He says it's not 1 or 2 people or even a dozen. He says there are more than 500 monks who have followed this path all the way to complete freedom.
And, he adds, it's not just the men. There are also more than 500 nuns who have achieved the very same liberation.
But then comes the most revolutionary part. He says this path isn't just for monks and nuns. He starts listing hundreds and hundreds of ordinary people, Men and women, some living simple, celibate lives, and others who are fully engaged in the world, enjoying families and careers, who have also succeeded.
Hearing this, Vacchagotta has this profound aha moment. This isn't some exclusive path for spiritual elites. It's a complete, proven system. He compares it to the great river Ganges, which, just naturally and inevitably flows to the ocean. This path, he realizes, works for everyone, no matter who they are.
So completely convinced by both the sheer clarity of the teaching and the overwhelming proof of its results, Vacchagotta decides he's done asking questions. It's time to walk the path himself. And the text tells us that, in time, he actually reached the destination.
He did it. He achieved the ultimate freedom he was searching for, not through some kind of blind faith or magic, but by using this clear, profound, and visual map of his own mind. In the end, he went from asking the question to becoming the answer.
So what does this ancient story really show us? It shows that by looking at old words with fresh eyes, we can turn abstract philosophy into a practical guide for our own lives, right here, right now. It suggests that sometimes the most profound wisdom isn't waiting to be discovered, but just waiting to be retranslated. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question. What other ancient wisdom is out there, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for a new way of seeing?